I'm Cyclon, and the last couple days I've been looking to alternatives to Abyss risk farming. I tried Blight, I tried Breach, I looked at other things, I looked at rarity farming, but all these things I do had one or the other issues with, and I've did found one thing that is pretty good, and that is Harvest. Now there has already been a couple videos about Harvest this league, but they have not really mentioned a few of the nuances that are really important for harvest farming to be truly profitable and to just increase the profit you make with it, the time you spend on it, and just the overall experience with harvest. And I wanted to collect all these in one video. So we're gonna be starting with the first topic right here. Speed is king. This is very similar to things like beast farming or map rushing. In Abyss farming, for example, we can't really push the time we have per map. We are following the abysses take time. We could theoretically set up 2 abysses at the same time, but then we spend more time looting later because we need to travel back, and if they might split or if we die, we might risk them, we might lose an abyss, it's too risky. So we are limited by the speed the abyss travels and by us looting the hordes. Harvest, on the other hand, can be increased. The speed we need to reach the harvest, the speed we clear the map, the time we kill the harvest monsters in the harvest, the time we loot the harvest juice, the portaling and everything. Harvest can be optimized and made really efficient and really quick, meaning we see more harvest plot in an hour, meaning we gain more life force in an hour, meaning we make more profit in an hour. So speed is really important for harvest. And with that, I found out that if I full clear the map and look for quantity altars, or if I just rush the harvest, the quantity altars do not make enough of a difference that it is worth the additional minute or two to find the quantity altars, to clear the map, get the altars, and get to the harvest. Meaning also we can reduce the cost because we no longer need to run this on things like a jungle valley, because we don't get the boss and we maybe fight more altars. We can run this on any any T16.5, because we can just minimize the cost in that case, because we can just get it on canyons. Now, another thing is, if you want to maximize your profit per map, I recommend running Exarch over Ether. And the reason for that is that with Exarch, we see more suffixes, we see more upsides on the altar. So the Exarch keystone has the chance to have an additional upside, but have that the downsides have increased effectiveness. Now, if you have a CI build and you have a mage blood, you're pretty much immune to almost everything the Exarch throws at you. The only things that can still hurt you is the minus resistances and the minus armor evasion if you're using something like Ghost Dance or Divine Shield or what it was called. So Exarch can be really easily mitigated on endgame CI builds, but it does have the downside of you can randomly find a Divine Altar if you are clearing for altars. Then again, the upside is we do find more often quant because we see more upsides. Alright, that out of the way. Next important thing. Crop rotation is a mechanic on its own. You need to understand how to run it to make it effective. So there's 2 important parts on crop rotation. The first thing is the exact amount of passives you want to spend on the reduced chances. And I don't have this information firsthand, but I have it from a buddy I really trust on this knowledge, because he has been farming harvest like crazy. And as far as I'm aware, Slippery Jim at some point made some testing and then calculations on the exact amount of harvest nodes you want to take to maximize your high roll chance. So what we want to take is all 3 purple, all 3 blue, 2 yellow, and crop rotation. This is, I want to say, let me simply explain this, but this is a very complex number and very complex calculated. But the way you can see this is we are negating the downside effectiveness. So if we would only take one path, if we would only take the less yellow path, then we would barely see any yellows, and we see a lot of purple and blue. So overall, if we do 50 runs, if we do 100 runs, our odds of high rolling and getting a really good setup that results in 2 or 3 yellow plots at the end is really low. If we only take the purple path or only take the blue path, we would see too many yellows. So what we are doing is we take the full purple and blue path, and then we're negating the effectiveness of 2 of the nodes by taking the 2 yellows. So in the end, we have 10% reduced purple and blue chance compared to yellow. So we see slightly less purple and blue, which means we have sometimes that we get too many yellows and we need to use the yellows to juice up the blue ones. But we have enough plots or enough harvesters in our, let's say, sample size of 100 that high roll on yellow, meaning we have enough plots to juice up our yellow plots and then get the juice from the yellow plots to make it really, really profitable and get like these 20k, 30k yellow juice at the end. Now, there is a way to run this harvest in this crop rotation harvest. And I need to explain this in a little bit detail. It's going to make the video a bit longer, but I highly recommend not skipping this part of the video. If you run your harvest, you want to have at least, let me make the text actually bigger. At least 3 juicer plots, so 3 setup plots, and at least 2 payoff plots. So what I mean with juicer is the plots we run first to make the yellow plots really juiced up and have T3 or T4 seeds, and we preferably want at least 2 payoff plots. If we do not have the juicers and do not have the payoffs, I just leave the harvest. If wilting is not on my side, I'm just going out, because I just not gonna get enough out of the map. Preferably, we want 4 juicers would be really, really great. And we can sometimes be okay with just 1 harvest payoff. If wilting was not in our favor later into the running, we take the 1 payoff, we go even on our map and we go next. But if we have 4 juicers and 2 payoffs, that's massive. And if we have 5 to 6 juicers and 3 payoffs, that would be the most insane we can get. Now, there is a very specific order we want to run our plots in, because we can only, normally we have 3 to 4 plots, and sometimes we rarely get 5 plots. The reason for that is that a harvest can have naturally 3 to 4 plots, and we have a 50% chance to have an extra plot, because of how these odds are. So what we want to have is, let's assume the following scenario. We have the following plots. We have a double blue, we have a double purple, we have a blue purple, and we have a double yellow. In this scenario, we can have up to 6 juicer and 2 payoffs. This is a good scenario. Now, what is the order we want to run it in? Actually, no, this example is bad. Let's make the example we have double blue, blue purple, purple yellow, yellow blue. No, this is a better example. So here's the order we want to run it in. Purple is the cheapest, but we have more blue than purple here, so we're going to be starting with our double blue. We're going to run the first blue, hope that the second blue doesn't wilt, then we run the second blue and the third blue. At this point we have 3 juicer plots done. So now what we can do is we can run the purple, and now we need to look. It could be that the yellows are juiced up enough that it's worth running them. If you have 6 plus, so we have 6 plus T3 seeds, or 5 plus T3s and a T4 seed, then it's worth to do the yellow. Let's assume in this example, this one is 2 and this one is 6 or more. Because this one went unlucky and is only 2, we're gonna risk this plot and we're gonna run this blue one. If we run this blue one and this one upgrades, That is awesome. We then gonna run the yellow one because the yellow one is really juiced up. Then we run the purple one if it didn't wilt. And finally we run this blue. The reason for this order is that this yellow is now saved because it didn't build on this blue one. This yellow is too juicy to sacrifice, so we run this yellow first. Then we run the purple one if it didn't wilt, so we have a little bit more out of the last yellow. And that is the full run. Now let's assume we have an ideal case scenario. We have 4 yellows and 6 non-yellows. This is with a 5 plot harvest. It's rare, but if we get it, it can be really lucrative. We're gonna apply the same things again. We run the blues, we run the others, and we juice it up as much as possible. But in this example, let's assume that we only have 3 juicers had so far. We want, because of how good this setup is, at least 4 juicers run. So we need to risk either of these yellows. So we need to see, let's just say this one is at 4, this one is at 2. We obviously gonna be taking the risk on the 2 plot one first because this 4 one is already better. So we're gonna be using this as our 4th juicer. So we have 4 juicing. Then we can run the good yellow. Then we can run the purple. Then we can run this yellow. And finally we check which one of those 2 is better. And we finish with that. And this is the order we want to run our harvest plots with. Now again, I know this was a little bit long and I apologize for the convoluted explanation, but I do hope that it made sense. If it didn't make sense, feel free to ask in the comment section on Discord and I try to explain further. I can also try to answer this or show this live on Twitch if I'm still running harvest today. I'm still debating if I go testing or go harvest running. Anyway, the next important thing is that we are using an Awakened Scarab. Now, it is really important that we do. If we do not run the Awakened Scarab, if we are cheaping out on our investment on this, we are losing a lot of profitability. The reason we are running an Awakened Scarab is Imbued Harvest. Imbued Harvest is extremely powerful. First of all, we save passive points on the tree because we guarantee the harvest. We don't need Sacred Growth chance. Second, 50% chance for the unchosen crop not to wilt, with the 10% from bumper crops, results in a 60% chance for our crops not to wilt, making crop rotation even more powerful. Lastly is a 50% chance to spawn additional monster. So this means that if we have a T3 seed and a 100% pack size, I get to the pack size in more detail in a moment, we get 2 monsters. Then this 50% chance applies to both of them. So a T3 seed can get us up to 4 monsters and a T4 seed can get us 2 bosses if we use Imbued Harvest. So never cheap out on the Awakened Scarab. It is at 1 divine, it is expensive, but it is worth it. Because it is at a divine, it is worth it. And don't run just a couple of maps. Harvest isn't a quick in and out strategy like Beast, where you can run like 20 maps, get a couple good beasts, or Harbinger, run like 30 Harbingers, get a couple good charts, and be out of it again. We really want to run 50 maps, 70 maps, 100 maps, or even more, and run them effectively, run them fast, that harvest becomes profitable. So don't cheap out on Awakened Scarab and don't run a small sample size, always run in bigger bulk. We will have maps that will feel absolutely horrible. We will have maps where we just not gonna be getting any juice out of it. Wilting wasn't in our favor, the spawning of plots wasn't in our favor, and we just go out. If a map is not worth running, we just leave that harvest behind and take it down as a loss, because the next harvest might just be the amazing one where we're gonna get our 30k juice in, and we're gonna be regaining that currency. So this is really important on Awakened Scarab. I know it's expensive, I know it feels bad needing to buy 50, 60, 100 of them, and then run these maps and leave a map empty because it just didn't feel good, but it definitely is worth it. Now that said, rolling your maps is also important, and that's going to be the next most expensive thing on these. We can go cheap on the map, we can take canyons, any 16.5, Horizon Optic Canyon, and run these. It's really easy to self-sustain these, or self-generate these if you've run any strategy before this. And now you have all your maps, but you need to roll them. So you want to quality your maps with Cartopgrapher's chisels. It's important that we use Cartographers. because the general quality giving us generic quantity is just 320 quantity and it doesn't cost us anything or barely anything. But we need to roll the maps, and we're going to be spending a lot of alchemies and scouring on this. It's going to feel bad for a bit because we need to spend a couple divines and scours. What I recommend is you have a tab. I called mine maps. I just threw all my canyons. I also threw my jungle valleys in there because I had jungle valleys left. But jungle valley is not worth it if we aren't full clearing for altars. It is just better to go for the cheapest 16.5 that we can get and horizon it to go to canyon. Now that we have our maps, we are going to be using a regex. I will leave it in the description. This regex looks for 120 quantity and 40 plus pack size. The reason we want this 40 plus pack size is that after risk Scarabs and after map modifier effect, it goes to 100. And I just mentioned this, with 100 pack size, we are guaranteeing a second rare of our T3 plans. So we apply this regex, we scour all the maps in the tab, and then we alch all our maps in the tab, and we hope that anyone lights up. There we go, we had one light up. And any that hit, we take him and we put him into a separate tab. I took my beast farming tab because I saved my juice here. And then we stack him up here, and when we run the map, we take him out, put him in here, put our scarabs in, and we run him. So this map rolled with 47 pack size, 128 quantity. If I now put it into the map, you hopefully saw it in the backward footage on the map, they go up to like 300, 350 quantity and like 100, 130 pack size. We just need just above 100 pack size, and we just need 300 quantity, and harvest becomes really, really juiced up and really, really profitable. Now, all this said, I do want to show the profitability of this. I have still all my juicy. I have 766,000, 344,000, and 145,000. Now, this is the juice I got out of 80 maps. I did 20 map tests before this on my first 20s. I experimented with T17s, with different base maps, and I came to the conclusion that cheapest T16.5 rushing was the best, and this is the result from that. So when we go to currency exchange and we look at this, we can get right now 176 divines for this. If I open a calculator and I assume my 80 maps and I assume I spend 1.5 divines per map, then I spend 120 divines. So we are already in the green. We already made profit just with the vivid, and we still have the primal and the wild life force that we can sell on top of this. However, this is not the thing we should do. If we are taking a look between available trades and competing trades, we see that there's a huge difference. Life Force, especially yellow one, sells really quickly. So what we can do is we can say, okay, we see it go as I speak here. We can go for 410 or 4010 or 4015. Let's go. We do want to sell quickly, but we want to get our best margin. We say our 766 divided by 4010, and that is 199. That is another 15 divines we can get from making our own sell offer. Do not fall for this. Do not just fulfill an existing trade. Take the time, look at the market ratio at competing trades, compete with the most recent trade, just put it up. They sell incredibly quickly. Life Force, especially Vivid, is consumed at an incredible rate. Put it up for 4001, 4010, 4020. Don't go for 43, 42. They will sell really, really quick. You can get it yours. You can get your own better margins. And with that, I will end this video. Hopefully it was informative. If you enjoyed the video, I know it was long, but I would highly appreciate a thumbs up. I would highly appreciate a comment if it helped you run Harvest more effectively, and if it helped you make your currency with Harvest farming. All this being said, any questions as usual, Discord, comment section, live on Twitch, I will answer as quickly as possible. Have a wonderful day, and I'll be seeing you in my next video or live on Twitch. Goodbye.